Look, the reality is Vermont's young people are making decisions about cannabis right now, every day. 37% of Vermont teenagers have either tried or currently consume cannabis. Well, VTCC is a group of, it was originally started by 3 entrepreneurs who came together and said, two things. One is clearly the war on drugs has been a failure, making change in the law, but number 2, doing so in a way that really reflects Vermont's values. This trend across the country, so there's evidence of this in Colorado, but also in Washington State, of concentration of ownership in the hands of a few. And this is reflective, frankly, of the American economy in general, where we're seeing increasing historical disparities between the few and the rest of our economy. And we can do it differently in Vermont. What we see is a model, particularly with our report, which presents a very different approach to this new industry, one that places regular Vermonters first and evens out the distribution of those opportunities. It's really a social enterprise model of capitalism as opposed to one that favors a concentration of wealth in the hands of very few. The main goal is to regulate, not liberalize, but regulate the cannabis economy. Once you get into this conversation about how to structure an economy, who are the people who are going to be growing, how much are they going to be able to produce, and how do we ensure that we have a stable supply, but without overproducing. And so there are really 3 categories that we've identified of growers. The first is home growers. There are a lot of people in Vermont who grow on their own. We believe that those people should be able to grow in the privacy of their home, up to 6 plants. They don't need a license. Anything over 6, they would need a license to sell. They could not sell under this provision. A second category would be people who grew between 7 and 99 plants. So these are small scale, what we would call craft growers. People who can, either from their home or perhaps in a cooperative model, be able to produce and sell either on a bulk market or at the retail level. And then the third category would be what we describe as an industrial producer. So these are folks who are growing. What we do is limit the size of the operation to 30,000 square feet for a building. We see lounges as actually a really important part of the safety component. A lot of what we're seeing in other states, Colorado is a good example where there is no place that one can smoke in public. So you have people coming who may be tourists from out of state. There may be people from other parts of Colorado who are in Denver, and the only places they're going to smoke is in the street. That's not safe. It's actually not, from an aesthetic and social perspective, the right direction. So we do see that lounges are an important component of this. Probably one that would have to be phased in over time. Well, we have the information that we need. We've known, and I think that Vermonters understand this. I think Vermonters are far ahead of the politicians in this regard. Vermonters understand that the war on drugs has failed. Vermonters understand that prohibition isn't working. And I think that it's really important that this conversation and this debate be based on facts. There is no evidence, none whatsoever, that any opponent or proponent of legalization can cite showing marijuana being a gateway drug. It just simply, the data just simply isn't there. A thriving economic ecosystem in which small craft producers are able to create a product that they sell at a market that is Vermont-based, that is based on our values, based on our traditions, and one that gives as many opportunities to people across all demographics as possible.